Adam Taxin here at the foot of Mount Helena in Helena, Montana. Sorry for those of you who tried to watch something like this 20-30 minutes ago. I had a little bit of a technical difficulty, which did not involve a drone strike after I started to talk about the Wikileaks revelations, but probably involved more me not having sufficiently charged my phone, my iPhone 6s Plus, from which I do this. Thanks for watching. Let's get into the big story of the day. That is Wikileaks' so-called Vault 7 drop, hashtag Vault 7. It was revealed basically that the US government has been secretly paying to keep software vulnerable. There's an article with a similar title at the Gateway Pundit by Christina Leila, taking some words from there. The information there says WikiLeaks unveiled its largest vault of confidential CIA documents, which they dubbed Vault 7. One of the documents revealed a bombshell that the US government is secretly paying to keep US software, such as iOS and Android, unsafe. The article goes on. They are intentionally developing vulnerabilities instead of securing systems. This is criminal and reckless. This means iOS and Android can be hacked, spied on, and or infected with malware. Because of the software vulnerabilities, various messaging apps with encryption can also be accessed. There were, of course, some key tweets about this. A tweet directly from WikiLeaks is this: Vault 7 shows that Apple has been proven right. Governments can't be trusted to keep for the government only security holes safe. From Edward Snowden. The CIA reports show that the US government is developing vulnerabilities in US products, then intentionally keeping the holes open. This is reckless beyond words. From Soros Reno riot. The CIA Wiki Drop is some intense stuff. Can see it now on mainstream news. Collusion between Trump and WikiLeaks? You know, the left will be screaming that by day's end. To which Ram Them Dems responds, yeah, Trump payback for them wiretapping him. That will be the media narrative. Of course, it goes without saying they will be outraged and demand he resign. A tweet from Proud Nationalist. Some say these leaks do not amount to much, but when evidence emerges that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that your government has been surveilling its entire populace and more by means of illegally bribing software companies to keep its programs vulnerable, you can believe that this is a major problem and a massive story. Wake up, America. Your intelligence communities have been snooping in your own home, illegally so. Fire Comey and put him on trial. Now this is a good one. It has a picture of JFK, a very good picture of JFK, who's handsome to begin with. But it says, this brave president wanted to destroy the CIA. They killed him. Now they are going to pay for that. Well, we'll see about that. From Nicolas Begin, the Obama administration has a lot to answer for. Vault 7 is bigger than the Snowden leaks. WikiLeaks is more trustworthy than CNN. From Mark Dice, who does a lot of funny videos but can be serious when the time comes, he writes, we now know where the leaks from the Trump White House are coming from. Their phones are bugged by CIA deep state operatives. Mark Dice also tweeted, Vault 7 files confirm CIA hacks cars to crash them in assassinations. Remember Michael Hastings? We suspected this years ago. From Paul Joseph Watson, another guy you should be following on Twitter. CNN front page has absolutely nothing about WikiLeaks' Vault 7 blockbuster. Imagine my shock. I don't know if that's still true now, but he tweeted that a little while ago. Moving on. Unrelated to WikiLeaks, or Vault 7. This is just a very clever tweet by Steve Saylor, S-A-I-L-E-R. He's worth following on unz.com, unz.com, and also on Twitter. A tweet he had related to the immigration debate using the Jews and Israel as a reference point. Clearly, we must do what the world did after it recognized the horror of the Holocaust. Come together in support of the founding of a Mexican homeland, a place where Mexicans can live free of the threat of deportation. A Mexican state, if you will, located in the ancestral homeland of the Mexican people. And thanks for making me aware of this, Keith Levenberg. Hold on one sec. I just want to switch hands here. Gets holding it with one hand. Okay, let's get me on there. A different view for you all. I thought the tweet that I responded to that with wasn't bad. I wrote, Which part of Europe is Vicente Fox's ancestral homeland? It's just so clear that Vicente Fox is European while he's calling Trump a racist, etc. Other tweets in response said about this, sounds like a place called California. Another, Austrians want their empire back. Native Americans want everyone out. Vikings want control of the seas again. Seeing the news from Sweden, I think Vikings probably would be settled to just have a little bit of confidence that Sweden will even be there as it's known in 10, 15 years. Another tweet, Jorge Ramos boldly stated that this country, the U.S., is not theirs, but ours. Theirs meaning Americans, ours meaning illegal Mexicans. Another tweet, many Mexicans mistakenly believe their ancestors lived north of the Rio rather than hundreds of miles south. And it is important to keep in mind how small the population was north of the Rio Grande at the time of the Mexican-American War. I mean, it was tiny, and there was hardly anyone there in any place. Well, there were U.S. settlers in Texas, which was basically an empty place. A comment about Loretta Lynch. She's been in the news. She talked about blood in the streets to support the cause or whatever. And apparently Attorney General Lynch signed off on all Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act applications to wiretap Trump. But slightly misleading headline there from the Gateway Pundit, because I think only one of 10,000 Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, known as FISA, requests were turned down. So it's common, but, you know, I think she dug a hole for herself talking about blood in the streets. She's someone who we're supposed to respect as the country, or we were, as the top law enforcement individual. But I like this comment by Nevin James regarded to that. He says, if it's going to be her blood, it won't ruin my day. She is a desk jockey coward. She'd never put her worthless ass on the line. Now, a story from Philadelphia area. As I switch my hands around again. I'm from the Philadelphia area. I've lived in Philadelphia for a number of years, though I really consider myself from this suburban part in Delaware County. But here's a story you're not going to hear about in the news, though it's the kind of thing that really kills a city when enough of these things occur and people don't want to go in there. Philly police, and this is from one of the local networks, I think the CBS affiliate there. More than 100 kids participated in flash mob, using the terms kids and flash mob, which are both euphemisms, 20 arrested. The comments for this were disabled, of course, because they often say politically incorrect things, so that's common. And keep this in mind, given the fake outrage about what Ben Carson said and the misleading headlines about how he talked about slavery in the context of immigration and made it very clear that being a slave, coming over as a slave, was not as an immigrant. But, you know, people want to have their fake news about that. But notice that they don't cover this. And let me read you this story. More than 20 people were arrested after a flash mob of more than 100 teenagers wreaked havoc in Center City, Philadelphia, Monday evening. Didn't say the race, nor did it in that article. Police say the group gathered in the area of 15th and Market Streets around 5:30 p.m. So that's rush hour, and that is right in the heart of the city, right in front of City Hall, and you know, one of the busiest places in the city at that time. And began fighting and running in and out of traffic with no regard for others. Police Commissioner Richard Ross says 20 people were cited for disorderly conduct, while a few others may face more serious charges after several people were violently attacked. And there have been a lot of attacks in Philadelphia lately. Here's a quote. They were actually beaten, maced, and claimed to have even been tased. We know they were assaulted for sure. We had 4 people. We do not know if charges will be approved on those 4. So we're trying to just wait to see. But the whole thing is just idiotic. Now, the story goes on. Kenneth Syme was sitting in his truck doing paperwork when he saw the rush of people, some jumping on a taxi, as if taxis didn't have enough problems from Uber. Here's the quote. All of a sudden, I looked up and saw what looked like 200 teens running from the shops at Liberty Place area, said Syme, right in the heart of the business district in Philadelphia. I can't emphasize that enough. After the initial rush of people, I started recording with my iPhone. The teens started dispersing as the police followed them on bicycles. I saw 2 individuals jumping on top of a parked taxi car at the corner of Ludlow and 17th Street. A lot of law firms around there, big, really tall buildings there. As the police came closer to the 2 individuals, they jumped off the car and ran. And then, of course, politically correctly, it says, The motive for the large crowd is unclear at this time. Commissioner Ross says people believe it was planned through social media. Also from that article, police say a female officer was injured when she fell off of her bike while responding to the mob. John Bailiff, thank you for informing me that they carried the fight into a nearby bank, and then I saw the clip later, and it was a Wells Fargo. And you know, this is the kind of thing I care about. It destroys a city. People don't want to go into Philadelphia. It's nice to have a city where you can feel like you can go in. It's pleasant to be in a place like Helena, Montana, where people leave their doors open, I must say. And that's not possible in Philadelphia. You almost don't want to go into Philadelphia. Okay, and me editorializing, but let me continue. There is a video you should watch on this, not the one you see on the CBS 3 affiliate, but it's from a guy named Colin Flaherty. He has his own YouTube channel. It's simply called Colin Flaherty YouTube channel. And this is called 100 Black People Rampage Through Center City, Philadelphia. Pretty accurate title. I saw it. And it specifically talks about how Philly is going down the tubes. One fun comment there by a D. Santiago. There were more than one fun comments there, but there was more than one fun comment. But here's one that's appropriate. Something is wrong here. I keep getting told by the mainstream media that Trump supporters are going around wreaking havoc on people of color. I guess the videos keep getting misplaced or stolen. I hear the reports, but I don't see the evidence like I do on this channel of the opposite occurring. Let me switch this around and give you another view. All right, I want to move on to the story of, oh, I lost it here. Hold on. Isn't this pretty here in Helena, Montana? Not even as cold as this morning. Hope you're enjoying this. I'm enjoying traveling and giving you a sight rather than just a green room in a fake cityscape or whatever. I really am here. This is a funny story, and it's just a sign of the times. I guess maybe it's well-intentioned, but there's a radio host called Tom Likas. I like some things he does. Some things he does are kind of annoying, in my opinion, but I saw he posted this on Facebook. I am giving IMDB an F rating, canceling my subscription and deleting their app after 20 years. See why. And this is, I guess you should go on ctvnews.ca, and it's F-rated. IMDB adds new rating to highlight work by women. I'm not making this up. The Internet Movie Database has added an F classification to its keywords page to identify movies featuring prominent contributions from women in front or behind the camera. The F-rated tag has been added to more than 21,000 titles on IMDb to highlight works with female stars, directors, or writers. The classification was launched by a group called F-rated and adopted by IMDb early this year. Although thousands of films met one of the three criteria, only a handful, including Frozen and Bridget Jones's Baby, were deemed to meet the F-rated gold standard. Those films featured female leads, female directors, and at least one female writer. Continuing, the F rating is partially inspired by the Bechdel test, I used too Yiddish a pronunciation there, which offers criteria for evaluating how fairly a work of fiction represents women. To pass the test, a story must include a moment in which two female characters with names talk to one another about any subject other than men. Wow. It's so basic, but the majority of films fail the Bechdel test, F-rated founder Holly Tarquini said in a TED Talk last November. At least 4 of the films nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars, including winner Moonlight, failed the test, according to BechdelTest.com. Well, isn't Moonlight about gay guys? I mean, if they're going to have a romantic situation, it's not going to involve a woman. But anyhow, other popular films such as the original Star Wars trilogy, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, The Lion King, and The Godfather also failed the test. Comments, which you know were great. I saw the ones at a version of this story at the Guardian from UK, a leftist paper, very not so pro-Israel, but these were some fun comments anyhow. From Melody Kim, a waste of time. I can see next thing is POC rated. What's POC? Or LGBT rated. Someone else wrote, I look forward to discussing this matter on the IMDb message boards. Oh wait. From Robert Jenkins, gender is a social construct, except when it's not. From Uncommon Sense 2, I'm a woman and an engineer, and I would be horrified if my work was labeled as being F-rated. For a start, it either implies an F rather than an A-rated piece. Good point. i.e. a fail, or it implies it is effing awful. Surely the women in the film industry have enough pride in their work to consider themselves filmmakers first and women second. Grow a backbone, for God's sake. Someone else writes, people, trolls, would downvote a film because it has an F rating. People who genuinely didn't like the film would be accused of only disliking it because it was directed by a woman. People who love the film would be accused of only liking it because it matches with their feminist agenda. So on and so forth. Sounds cynical, but 20 years of internet use has taught me to expect the worst from people, especially when it comes to IMDB. Someone else, Tories are fun, writes, if the work is good, it doesn't need a special little badge. I'm sure some folks are feeling warm and fuzzy about it, though. This is funny. Incidentally, the IAFD, Internet Adult Film Database, the more salacious equivalent of IMDB, has provided F-related ratings for their catalog since the inception. Progressiveness often makes for a strange bedfellows, and I did a little research. I went on there and I looked up Where the Boys Are in 17, a 2003 film, which I don't know who directed it, I don't know who wrote it, but apparently, here's a description. Superstar Jenna Jameson boards a chartered flight with her all-girl entourage. The ladies have booked a flight on all-girl airlines and are soon being given that special personal service by the lesbian pilots and flight attendants. I guess the pilots are female. That's not something you usually see. And interestingly, anyone seen Lawrence of Arabia? I think it won the Oscar in maybe 1962. It has no female speaking parts. And, you know, so I guess that wouldn't do too well. But it is mostly Muslims as characters, so who knows, maybe they would get a pass. I don't know. It's very pro-Arab, so I don't know what they would do political correctness-wise there. And by the way, do you remember with the Women's March a few weeks ago, the Women's March against Trump and for Sharia in Washington around Inauguration Weekend? I think it was January 22nd it would have been. Apparently there was an issue there about some people protesting it because they were saying to be a woman you have to have a vagina or something, and that was discriminatory. I don't know if something like that will occur here. Finally, just a headline. I really appreciate great headlines, especially if they tell you most of what you need to know, and I have to give credit to Howard Portnoy, who wrote something for Liberty Unyielding. I know he's not the first one to come with this, but it hasn't gotten old. And he wrote, former Gitmo detainee gets his 72 virgins via U.S. airstrike on Yemen. I just like the way that's phrased. And if any of you are familiar with Yasser al-Silmi, he was killed in a March 2nd U.S. airstrike in Yemen. And the Pentagon announced that Monday. He had been held between 2002 and 2009 at the prison. I really wasn't very familiar with him. But details surrounding his detention are still unclear. He blew himself up. No, there was a former Guantanamo Bay detainee as well, Abu Zakaria al-Britani, who blew himself up in a suicide bomb in a recent ISIS propaganda video. The Pentagon previously estimated that 30% of released Guantanamo Bay detainees returned to the battlefield. All right, so on that feel-good note, I'll close this beautiful scene, and I'll come back to you hopefully around sunset. Thanks for watching.